My sense is that the world is constantly in a flux of change and constantly under one challenge or another. Whether you cast that under the notion of security or calamity or crisis or well, just general human challenges. The notion that there is a greater need for us as humans to collaborate, crossing jurisdictions, crossing traditional boundaries, has become more obvious as we face some of the challenges that we humans can't control so easily, such as, well, the crisis with climate. Whether you agree with it or not, things are changing. We can measure this, we can see it, we can feel it, and it calls upon all of us to actually take action which crosses, again, our boundaries and our cultures. Geography, you may not have ever thought of in this way, is a science of our planet. By its nature, it is the study of understanding how things on our planet are interrelated. It seeks to define the things, to understand their location and their relevance to one another. And this actually cuts across all known disciplines, whether you're an environmentalist, or you run a utility or a commercial organization, or you run a government. Geography intersects with your business in various ways because every one of your assets and resources is somewhere on the planet. And there is a relationship between those assets and resources that actually may interest you in running your business or your organization more effectively. My organization focuses, like many, on creating information technology which helps people understand how geography impacts its business. It creates a mechanism, a system, to enable people to store that information, to be able to analyze it, and then be able to communicate that to the people in their organization and their stakeholders and constituents outside of their organization. Like any other information system, it's based on a set of standards and allows us to interoperate and cut across various forms of technology. Now, what's so interesting to me as a geographer about GIS is the notion that it provides us with a framework and a set of processes for understanding these interrelationships that geography gives us. Maybe if you're technical, you grew up in the paradigm of a foreign key in a database. Location is the ultimate foreign key, enabling you to cut across various data sets and systems to understand these interrelationships. And by putting it in this framework of being able to measure and understand and then communicate and take action, we actually have a systematic approach to solving problems. I think this helps us be smarter in actually how we deal with these many crises and challenges that we face across our organizations. Whether we're at the international or global level, inside of a nation state, or inside of a city or a community within a city, this technology and thinking geographically becomes an important framework. And actually, if I were to press you even further, I would suggest that geography is something that is inherent in each of you from your earliest childhood experiences at school, where you're taught that a map is an authentic and authoritative source of knowledge and information. That's actually a challenging concept in today's world, because who controls the map and what is on the map becomes something of interest for us to discuss. Now, there's a whole new kind of pattern because this technology has to constantly evolve as technology in general evolves. I would suggest that recently having to really consider the security ramifications, not just in securing the system, but also in helping people see threats from all the data that exists. Imagine being able to mine, not just, as Michael said, human intelligence, but also understand signal intelligence, where that signal intelligence comes from Twitter, or from Facebook, or from other social media, or from a more standardized form of signal, telephone or radio. WebGIS integrates organizations that apply this principle in the sense that they start thinking geographically and they start thinking cross-cutting. They immediately start to bring down the silos that would otherwise keep their organization compartmentalized. Now, there are clear reasons in business for us to compartmentalize organizations, but there are also clear reasons in business for us to cut across our organizations, especially in today's digital culture, so that we can source intel and understand relationships faster. Now, evidence would suggest that this actually creates new connections for us. It allows us to reach beyond our own organizational borders to engage communities outside of us. It allows us to actually reach that multidisciplinary, multi-organizational approach that is so demanded in today's environment. Now, there's plenty of evidence of this in application in the security area, whether it's preparing for or responding to emergencies or disasters that are not man-made, from flooding to typhoons and weather events to other natural events such as earthquakes or tsunamis. You start to see the notion of being able to understand things in context to location becomes a new way of visualizing and understanding the consequences of events, not just during or after the event, but also anticipating the event and seeing inside of it before it actually occurs. We see this in public safety. Almost every policing organization in the world currently employs GIS technology to understand criminal behavior, to understand the patterns of that behavior so they can put in place effective community policing efforts to go proactive and stop it. This doesn't just exist in the local level, it also exists in the cyber level. Being able to understand threats that now come in from outside of your jurisdiction but invade your jurisdiction. This applies to human health, which is also another form of security. Making sure that healthy communities exist in times of crisis with outbreaks such as Ebola or the Zika virus, this becomes even more essential that we understand that the health security is also an important aspect of us thinking geographically. This example, actually, I thought I'd introduce because it runs counter to most security in a sense that it actually seeks to open up information that would otherwise be held tight. This is from our United States White House, who's worked to open up information on law enforcement activities in the United States to provide access to citizens and stakeholders so that they can understand behaviors of not just crime, but also the response to crime, so they can be more engaged in the policing effort. I would just say that, in ending, that GIS in most organizations that apply it is seen as critical infrastructure, as critical as the fiber backbone that binds all of their network and computing resources together. It provides a notion of a shared situational awareness from its ability to be able to pull information from many sources and put it on a map so that we can visualize and analyze and see these patterns emerge. So the takeaways I really wanted you to think about is that geography in and of itself provides both content and the context for understanding security threats, for helping us make people more secure. The three key points is that GIS itself as a technology provides a framework for applying geography, understanding geography. When it's applied, it helps us eliminate silos, which would otherwise keep us from observing or putting the pieces together. And then last but not least, since it's a visual metaphor, it allows us to turn data into action and insight. So, thank you.